That's fine. It's probably better.
There's a side to our harpist love playing with the cello.
Yeah. I've never actually played with a harp, but
I've played a lot with, there's another Daniel. There's another cellist I play a lot with him. It's brilliant. I love cello.
It's quite, yeah, it's just quite a nice.
It's a lovely mellow. I love the cello.
In December we have a marimba and a saxophone. So that's really like different. I want to write something for marimba. I mean, I just want to write something for marimba. So it's a bit different.
cool. Well, this is the cello. And yeah, I apologise for the cellist here because the start maybe.
There are sheets in your folders
yes,
as well.
Yeah.
The cello.
There's a little picture of the cello with some names of various things. Just quickly, this is called the bridge. It's really important because it holds the whole thing up, and the strings wouldn't work without it, and nothing would resonate. Open strings, we've got C, which is 2 octaves below middle C, and G, fifth above that, D, and then A. This is people who were here last year did the double bass, and that's tuned in fourths, whereas all the rest of the strings are tuned in fifths. So that's a slight difference. The range is actually huge. I've said it's kind of 4 octaves, so this C to. That's kind of practical for most cellists, but we can go really high. You can play up here. It's really difficult, and the notes are so close together that to play a scale is almost impossible, but you can go very high on the cello, which most people don't know. I've put a little keyboard there to show, because I wasn't sure how many people would read sort of all the clefs that the cello uses, so that shows you where some of the notes are on a piano. But yeah, for clefs, cellists read in 3 clefs, mainly because we don't like to read ledger lines, or like a violinist can read like 5 ledger lines up, and cellists will just look at you and be like, what is that note? I have no idea. So the main sort of tricky one is tenor clef, and that's where the C is on the second line down from the top. So that C that I've written in tenor clef is here, and that would be the same as a middle C on a normal bass or a treble clef. So most of the nice tunes, for example, we're going to have a go at the Swan. That's like classic tenor clef range, sort of anything sort of A string above, then it's best to put on the tenor clef. But obviously just write wherever you're comfortable, and then we can swap it to be more comfortable for a cellist, I guess. To play, this is the bow. It's to write with the bow. You don't have to write it, we would assume, with the bow for any piece, unless you start with pizzicato, but arco in Italian means arch or bow, and I guess you can see that kind of thing there. Left to right is down bow, and right to left is up bow, and this is weird for a cellist because it's that way, but for a violinist, down is definitely down and up is definitely up.
That has different effects, doesn't it?
Yes, so the down bow is quite heavy. It's good for strong beats. So if you can bow pieces, you can put in specific bones for what you want. But if you're a cellist, then generally you try and aim for a down bow on the first beat of a bar, or on the third beat. So the sort of difference in sound is. And we can even them out, but it's quite nice to have. If you're shaping a bar, I don't know if you played Mozart like quartet bass lines are generally like and just for hours and hours. So we'll use the down bows as a kind of marker and a sort of impetus for the rest of the group.
You can use it for an accent as well.
Yes,
because your hand, who used to play the cello, no, pink cello, it's cool, and it's heavier, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you're doing accent, but then maybe like
that's it. It's quite good to use the heaviness here, and then it's light up here, so you can really get a good tremolo higher up in the bow. The other way of playing is pizzicato. So you can, if you've got a long passage of pizzicato, you can ask us to put our bows down. or we can keep the bow in our hand to play. That's just like that. We can use our thumb or fingers, and you can get mellow sounds down here and harsher sounds up here. I've got an extended technique section, and there's all sorts of different ones, but I'll go through those later. All strings do harmonics really well, like the harp. So we have the harp harmonics are natural, so I think you had sort of the fifth, so this is the octave above that. That's the fifth. So we can get quite a few just because of the length, I think. And they are played exactly the same way. You just rest your finger, and it resonates well, so you can sort of let it go, and it will keep going for a long while. And then, that's just so that only you can get the notes in the key of the string that you're playing on. We have another thing called false harmonics, which is where you either use your thumb, which is quite a cellistic thing to do, but you can put your thumb, say, on a B, and then rest your forefinger a fourth above, and you'll get 2 octaves above that one. And this means you can play any note on the cello as a harmonic. So it's quite good for composers, I think, if you want to write a tune. I don't know if you've heard the violin piece Czardas by Monty. It's quite a classic. That's got a whole section where it's got a tune in harmonics, really effective. What else is there about false harmonics? You can, so the fourth is to get the octave, you do the fundamental with your, or you can do it like this. Oh, my hands aren't quite big enough. But you can also use you can get different intervals, so my hands aren't big enough. You can change the interval by moving the gap between your thumb and your fingers.
There's certain ways that you can do write that down, so
yes.
you can use like diamond note heads, and it's on
Yeah.
the thing. But basically, if you want this sort of more ethereal, glassy sound, sometimes it's called, you can just write a little circle over it, and Lucy will work it out with you. Because I remember the first time I did artificial or false harmonics, I was kind of like, well, if I do that, and then
it's really confusing.
Fourth or fifth, 2 octaves higher. Oh god, it just confuse you. But if you just want to write something, but you want that sort of sound, then just write harmonics, and we'll work it out with you, because it just confuse you a little bit to start with.
Right.
So it's cool.
It's a very boring study piece that I've been practicing recently, but you can create a piece with natural harmonics. So this is very boring, but I'll just play a little bit. It just goes on and all different strings. It's very dull, but you can produce like a sort of tune with just the arpeggio up high, and there's lots of sort of variations you can get with the naturals as well. Glissandi is another classic string thing. So glissandi is the sort of it's quite an effect thing. It's like you play quite slowly, maybe you're between 2 notes. You could do that sort of thing, but we also use something called portamenti, which is a technique we can use sliding between notes. So if we wanted to, say, go from the F sharp to the A in a quite beautiful way, then we'd sort of, you can hear that sort of gliss up. It's quite maybe more modern players don't use it so much, but if you're playing the Elgar concerto or something really romantic, then you'd expect to just put those in. But you can notate those just with a line, or you can write glissando if you wanted a more slow, really effective thing. It's difficult with glissandos as well. If you want a long one, we can do it all on one string and start up high. But it's really hard to do one a really long one because you have to cross the strings and then you get a bump, so it's sort of doable, but it's hard to fake a really nice slow one.
Harmonic or something?
Oh,
So
harmonic.
combining
Yes.
harmonics and sliding.
Yeah, so and if you do a long one, you get that sort of seagull effect. It's quite a cool effect.
You do all like you just on like the A string.
Just like,
Yeah, I do it slow and go up and down. Sorry, I like it.
so you can hear all the sort of notes.
Actually, now no, because I've listened to a lot of Kirsty's work. And now I hear a lot of that in it.
You're gonna steal my secret. Yeah, I might. But yeah, I was gonna say like sort of fairy tale or like mystical sort of. That's used a lot in that sort of. Composers that sort of do fantastic things like that.
Yes. We can play more than one note. We can't really sustain more than two because with the bow it's difficult to. You can sort of get three, but you have to play really loud. So if you wanted a nicer sound, two is more sort of appropriate. But we can play a 4-note chord and spread it, or like do 2 and 2. Classic. So a good way to structure a chord is with a fifth at the bottom because we can bar a bit like a guitarist do barring. We can bar the bottom 2 with one finger. But again, write whichever chord you want, and we can. Lots of things are viable. We just have to work out ways of doing things with thumbs and sorting it out.
Yeah, but actually, Fran, as well, if somebody put like chord symbols and chord like it's in writing what chord they want, you'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah, if you write D7 on it, I'll play you a D7
Like a
chord.
guitar.
Yeah, if you write, G, if you write, G9, I can do all of that. But the thing is, I'll put in all the notes for you, everyone. So if you want a D7 without the A, you have to write without the A, because otherwise I'll put it all in for you. Then I'll spread it, or I'll do it wherever I want as well. It's a big harp. We've got, most typical harps have 4 and a bit octaves, but then we can go higher because of harmonics, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, chords are fine.
Is there anything else with chords? Oh yes, it's open strings, or you can do a drone and a melody. It's possible to sort of play a drone and go with the other fingers, or open strings are good and that kind of thing.
What are your open strings?
Oh, C. So it's C 2 octaves below middle C, and then G the 5th above D, and then A. So it's like a violin, but we've got an extra string at the bottom and don't have the E.
That's right.
Some sort of more extended techniques that a lot of modern composers use is with the bow you can do sol pont, which means on the bridge in French. This produces a really even more glassy than a harmonic. It's used a lot actually, especially in romantic music onwards. The opposite of that is sol tasto, which means on the fingerboard, and that's you play it here. So that's very wispy and sort of.
You can have a mute as well, can't you?
Yeah, I don't actually. This is a new cello, so I haven't got it set up as I should. But there is a mute that would go here, and then you just put it up, and that makes a similar sort of noise to that, but more muted.
I've got another one as well. When you play in different parts of the bow, does it make different noises?
Yeah, well, sort of louder and softer. So down here is strong, and then you can get a similar sort of feel, but it's more.
You can do it with your other side as well.
Oh yeah, just coming onto this. So like collegno, you can play with the wood. You can play, and it makes a sound, but quite a scratchy sound. and lots of composers use like a sort of spiccato. Then you get the note as well because you've got a little bit of hair because you're playing like that, but also the wood, which creates the percussive effect. There's like bouncing, ricochet. You've done harmonic glissandi. You can bow the tailpiece, which makes that kind of noise very quiet. But if you've got a whole section of cellos doing it, it's great, like a rumbly noise.
Can you do it again?
Yeah.
You can sometimes get the cello to resonate if you find the right
Yeah.
start. If you go down a bit.
What's that called?
Just blowing the tailpiece.
Very technical term.
If you've got a carbon fibre spike as well, then you can blow that and it makes even louder noise, similar to that, but I don't. Scratch tone, that's just pressing with extreme force on the bows. It's quite loud.
You can also do it at a softer dynamic scratch tone. Maybe if it's a bit higher up in the air.
It's difficult with a pitch. Pizzicato ones, there's a snap pizz or a bartok pizz. You literally like pick it up as high as it goes and drop it to create that snap. You can pluck with the left hand. So if there's a bit in the Elgar where you're like playing really high note and then you have to go to pizzicato really quickly, and it's easiest to do with your left hand, just the speed of getting around things. You can pitch with a fingernail, either way. Hitting things, you can, battuto or collegno, and then we can do all the taps down here, on the ribs. I play in a wedding quartet, and we have an arrangement of Royals by Lord, and the whole thing for the cello is just like percussion. It's really cool. That's about it for all the extended technical things. Do you have any questions or things that you want to hear but you don't know how you might produce?
Could you just play like a melody, but maybe play it like on the lower edge, the middle, and higher? Doesn't have to be the same.
Yeah. Let's think. This is a bit of Brahms, E minor sonata. That's where it's meant to be. This is how it would sound up here. And up here. You do even here, if I'm good enough.
So obviously they have a lot of different
Yeah.
effects. A very low, grumbly sort of feels very high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite nasal up here, but it's good.
I've got writing with a little plea as a harpist. I don't know why people don't really do it, but when we play together, if you get everybody to tune to the harp, because it's so hard to get a harp out of 440, it's actually unreal. But if you have it with the piano, everybody tunes to the piano and it's normal. But if you can get them to do it to the harp, that would be fantastic, because we can't change it, and it really does make a massive difference if we're not in tune with everybody else. And people have told me to bow the harp before. I've done that. We can only bow the bottom one, it doesn't fit in the others, so don't try it. It doesn't work.
Just a quick note is that you can combine all the different effects as well. So, and that's what I personally like to do. This is my secret sound, not my secret. This is what I do all the time when I write for strings. Is that I combine sulpon, so by the bridge, tremolo, and maybe glissandi as well, or harmonic. and it's just to get a unique sound. It's not like just using these techniques, but maybe combining them and trying to use them musically as well, because I mean, we're not expecting you to go through the catalogue of all the different techniques you can use on the cello and the harp, but just trying to experiment. So if you can just experiment, try that. So just try.
Tremolo with sulpod would sound like this. Maybe a harmonic glissandi with sulpod would be. That's even more scratchy.
Loads of like glissandi with it, or moving. I sometimes do moving from sultasto to sultan, so moving the bow.
Yeah, we can do that on harp as well. So if say you want pinso, which is the thing where you grab the string and pull it to the tongue, you can do that at the bottom string, you can do that in the middle of the string. It really changes how it sounds. So tell us where you want to play on string, otherwise we'll play where we think. We think you think that you want us to play. Or we'll play where we want to play. Leave it alone.
Anybody got any questions now? Covered everything? What about Ruth, what do you think? Are there any things that you particularly like playing on the cello, or anything that
I quite like playing it down low because not many pieces are written like on the C string. It's all mainly on the A or the D. So it's quite nice when you get pieces that play low because it sounds quite good. Like you can make it sound quite mysterious or quite angry.
any techniques that you particularly like using, or Okay, cool. Okay, so we're gonna have a bit of a break now. Gonna have some tea and coffee and digest everything. But the plan is next to go and create something for the cello and the harp. So what I want you to do is just create something very small, just a small idea for now.